What's up, buds? So, we're into Dark Souls 3. This is going to be kind of like a Let's Play slash walkthrough. I'm not gonna attempt to get every single item for every single build all the time, or every weapon for that matter. I'm just gonna be kind of going place to place and just playing through at my own pace. And this is probably meant more for my buds who haven't played the game that maybe just want to see what it's all about and experience some of that Dank Souls goodness. So, yeah, I guess let's just jump right into it and we'll see how it goes.
Yes, indeed. It is called Lothric, where the transitory lands of the Lords of Cinder converge. In venturing north, the pilgrims discover the truth of the old words. The fire fades, and the lords go without thrones. When the link of fire is threatened, the bell tolls, unearthing the old lords of Cinder from their graves. Aldrich, saint of the deep. Farron's undead legion, the Abyss Watchers. And the reclusive lord of the profaned capital. Yon the giant. Only in truth, the lords will abandon their thrones. And the unkindled will rise. Nameless, accursed undead, unfit even to be cinder. And so it is that ash seeketh embers.
Sweet. Never get tired of that intro. So, this is your character creation, obviously. We're going to go with K Blitz for this character. Million. So, for class here, you've got a number of different things, obviously, you can choose from. Short description of each. Most important thing here is that it's going to affect, as you can see on the right, what level you start at, as well as your attributes and how those are distributed. Now, at the risk of sounding cliche, because everybody says it, but it is true, Knight or Warrior are kind of the 2 best for, unless you're doing like strictly casting, sorcerer, or pyromancer, which are going to be like magic wielding classes, the knight or the warrior are probably going to give you the best stats to start. As you can see, you've got 13 in strength, 15 vitality, 12 in dex. Most importantly though, the faith and the luck stats are the lowest on the knight. So unless you're going to do a build that's going to utilize a lot of faith or luck, faith is used for miracles, which is a type of spell. And luck affects item discovery as well as scaling damage on certain weapons, but unless you're planning on doing something specifically involving those, almost always the knight is probably your best starting class, or the warrior, as I say, which starts with a little more strength and a little less dexterity. Also with the knight, this armor that you see here, this is your starting armor. You can upgrade shields and weapons, and the armor for the knight is actually very respectable, and you can run it all game. You can do the full game, all DLCs, everything with this exact outfit that you see here, this exact weapon, this exact shield. Another one of the great things about this is that shield actually has 100% physical damage mitigation. So, I mean, it's really valuable, especially to any newer player or even people who are maybe trying a little different build but want to have access to that early. You will get shields that also have 100% physical mitigation, but not immediately at the beginning of the game, and certainly if you're new to Souls, it's definitely really helpful. And the armor, as I said, also will do well through the entire game. The sword you can upgrade and use your basic starting sword throughout the entire process as well. So for the burial gift, you can choose from a list of different things here, obviously, and I mean, it's not a huge deal. None of them are going to make or break your character, obviously. I'm going to just go with the life ring just because it's a boost. I think it's percentage based. Facial presets, you've got the different kind of races of the world of Dark Souls 3 with their descriptions, obviously. I'm gonna go with the Katarina Merrymaker because everybody's down with the Knights of Katarina. And for his build, I usually just go with the standard. Don't really care too much about his appearance. And we'll get it popping. So we're going to start off here in the Cemetery of Ash, make our way through the tutorial boss to Firelink Shrine, and that should probably wrap up this video. I'm not going to rush through dialogues or subtitled or texted parts of the game, simply because this isn't a speed run. It's not a full walkthrough. It's kind of you guys just watching me playing along with me, so to speak. So I will allow the NPCs to talk to give you the lore. Alright, so any Dark Souls game, you've got these markings on the ground, which you will see in this particular area. These are just going to give you Dark Souls version of a tutorial, which is just telling you what the buttons do. Right button for attack, right trigger for a heavy attack, big thrust there. Like I said, we got our shield. This is going to mitigate a ton of damage, and one thing that's different about Dark Souls 3 from the other Dark Souls games, as you see in the top left, I've got my 3 different bars. So the blue bar is what's called FP. So FP is, I guess, mana is like the easiest thing to compare it to. You're going to use it anytime you use a special weapon art. Weapon arts can be on your shields or your weapons, and it will use up the blue bar, and you'll have to replenish that. Spells also will use that. But just to show you the shield I'm talking about here, we're going to let this guy try and hit us. And as you can see, he's doing no damage. It takes away stamina when he hits the green there, but he's not able to break through because he's only doing physical damage, so there's no way he can actually hurt you if you have your shield up. and you just one-shot these guys. Another popular theme of Dark Souls is to hide and obscure things from you, and to try and trick you into basically rushing through without considering all of your options or all of your pathways. And admittedly, it's bit me more than once throughout all 3 different Dark Souls games. You could easily miss this little path right here if you were to just run forward, because you're focusing on the shiny up there, obviously. But if you do run back here, I believe this is just a soul item. Yep, so Soul of a Deserted Corpse. So you're going to pick up various souls, and when they're souls like that, you will consume those souls, or use them, I guess, and then it will give you a set amount of souls, which are in the bottom right there. So everything you kill, as you can see, I got 20 for killing the last guy. Everything that you kill is going to give you a set amount of souls. There are items and things that will actually increase the amount of souls that you get off of enemies and whatnot, and those can be quite useful for farming, or if you're trying to level up to get stats to wield a specific piece of armor or weapon or something. This here is your Ashen Estus Flask, so that's what's going to refill the blue bar in the top left. So also new to Dark Souls 3. You've never had that before in previous Dark Souls games, and I personally really like it. It's one of the things that makes Dark Souls 3 my favorite Dark Souls game. So your left trigger is going to block, and your left trigger is going to parry, like this. And as you can see, that uses stamina as well. So the idea of that, and this is huge for Dark Souls, is that when an enemy attempts to strike you, right as they're throwing their weapon towards you, or during their swing, not during their backswing, not during the warm-up animation, but as the weapon's about to hit you, you deflect it, it will open them for a critical attack. So this can be used if you're decent at it, which I'm not exactly. I mean, it's been a while since I've played this. I've been playing a lot of Bloodborne, and certainly Bloodborne is much more parry friendly because you have a gun that you use and it fires quickly. These shields, depending what shield you're using, will have a different set of frames, so it's different timing in order to block them. So we'll try and do it to this guy here, which is what he's here for. Missed that one. Missed that one. As you can see, the timing is a little tricky. I'm just going to let him do damage if he has to here. There you are. And you'll hear the sound, and then you can walk up and do massive damage, as well as down your enemy. So very useful. That wasn't the best example, because obviously I let myself get my ass kicked a little bit there. But that's fine. Like I say, this isn't supposed to be a pro thing or walkthrough. It's just me playing the game and chatting as I do it. And I'll give a little context to the areas and the lore of the bosses, etc. Missed that one too. You will still take away some of the damage that these guys do. I mean, with enemies like this, I'm just doing it for the practice, just because there's no point really, especially when you have 100% physical mitigation through the shield. There's really no point in trying to block these guys or parry these guys, I should say. You just want to block their damage straight through. You can go through your various items that you have equipped in the bottom left here. Right now I've only got my flasks. The Estus Flask will heal you. The Ashen Estus, as I said, will give you back your FP. So we're going to heal up and head down here for our first, what I would say is like a mini boss. If you read, these are put here by the game. Players can also put messages down, but these ones are actually put here by From Software. So I did actually, the first time I played this, I was so excited to get going in Dark Souls 3, I actually ran past this and missed it. And if you kill this creature here, Crystal Lizard is what it is, you will get an upgrade material for your weapon, which we won't be using just yet, but they are quite valuable. So we're going to block when we need to, and we're just going to get behind them and stab away when we have to, and put our shield up just in case he hits us there. Get another jumping attack. Whoa. We're going to have to get on point here, give him a good strong attack, stab, get out of his range, and also if those spikes come up and hit you, they'll also do a good amount of damage. Woo! So we can dodge completely using our iframes, which is invincibility frames. So you can dodge through any attack in this game if you time it correctly and take 0 damage. Oh, got me on the back roll. Hopefully we don't die to this guy. Although admittedly, I remember dying to him a few times when I was first playing Dark Souls. So we're gonna roll through just like that. That was invincibility, because we should have taken damage there, but we dodged it completely. We're gonna equip the shield, get that up. Whew! There's more invincibility frames. Get a few hits in them if you can. Dodge them again. Give them a strong attack. Back out. Wait for the tail spin. Get in here. Well, that was bad. We're just going to reset because we almost got him. Let him roll at us. Dodge that. Get in here. Give him a poke in the face. It's going to blow. Yep. But one more should do it, and he's down. So there's your Titanite scale. As I said, that's an upgrade material for our weapons. Let's come over here, grab whatever this is, probably a soul item. Yep. So as I said, we're going to consume those. We're going to give us more souls. Souls are going to be used as the currency for pretty much everything. Certainly leveling up is going to cost a set amount of souls, and that amount will increase gradually as we get further and further advanced with our character. So as you can see now in the bottom left, I'm out of Estus flasks, so I won't be able to heal. So if this was a tougher area of the game, obviously this is where things get a little hectic and your heart starts pumping and gives you that great feeling that Dark Souls gives you. I mean, it's why I play. Risk reward, right? If there's no risk, I don't really care about the reward. The environments in this game are stunning as well. I mean, some things are not the best looking. Maybe there's some funny textures around and things like that, and I'm not playing at 4K or anything like that. It's just 1080, but I mean, still you can look, and as you see, the environments are quite gorgeous. The other thing I like is I love games where you can look and see where you're going, because this is the path we're going to proceed down below and then up, and that is Firelink Shrine right up at the top of the hill there, which is actually you're going to be your home base where you level up and talk to NPCs and purchase spells and things like that. And as a huge part of Dark Souls is the bonfires, as we know. Bonfire lit. So you can rest at bonfires. That will fill your health and your flasks. And I just got a gesture. Gestures are also huge in Dark Souls. They are not only used for just communicating with players, but they're actually NPCs and places in the game where you use gestures. They will actually unlock additional areas and other things, like some of the more cryptic parts of Dark Souls are definitely in the gestures. I mean, you would never know to use this otherwise. You'd probably heard from somebody. I mean, the guys who discover some of the crazy lore things and locations of Dark Souls, when I've had to ask a friend, or even when I've accidentally discovered something myself, I find myself laughing, because it's so often it's like, well, how the hell would you ever intentionally find that, right? I'm whacked. Pretty hard to die right here, although it can be done. I'm gonna jump. I'll make it. Oh yeah. The jumping is quite awkward. It's probably intentional by From Software. They don't really like to make anything easy. This is going to tell you how to do a plunging attack. You do more damage from above. We're going to two-hand and drop. Not that we need to, but yeah, 213 damage to my 80-something or whatever the hell I'm doing with my one-handed attacks. So this here is basically the tutorial boss. So this is Gundyr. Udex, Iudex, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce the first name, but What we're going to do is pull the coiled sword from him. He's going to come alive. You can see he has actually the abyss is crept into him and trying to release, and at about 50% through this boss fight he'll have a phase change where he actually turns into an abyss creature, or at least partially, and then really ramps up his aggression and the moveset, and it's quite awkward to have to deal with. So when he goes through that transformation, we're going to try and get some extra damage in here, and hopefully we take him out the first time. Going to use the shield because again we have 100% physical block. Whew. The shoulder check there can knock you back and do some good damage too. Cool. Ate that one. Dodge through that. Back and heal here if we can. Woo. As you can see, it's pretty awkward with like the arm and the big mouth. It's hard to tell where he's going to hit. I actually find it's probably easiest just to stay in close. Don't want to get slammed. Don't want to get grabbed either. That's a bad situation. I'm going to sprint past him. Oh, that one. And he's almost got me. Get a blast in us here. He might get me if I can get the distance here. It's another tough thing as he closes like hella fast. I'm dead. So hardly surprising in Dark Souls. I mean, you're gonna die. You're probably gonna die a lot. Obviously, the more you're playing and the more used to it you are, the less you're going to die. But if you're like me and you haven't played it in months or even probably, I'd say about a year now or something, you're gonna have to get back into the swing of things. But it is nice in that the game is very fair. You'll find that as you get better, things that you thought were cheesy before are no longer cheesy. Things that pissed you off, you'll kind of come to accept and look back on it afterwards and wonder how you ever died to that situation or that thing. Just cause, even though we already got the item. Plunge attack this guy. We'll run up, dodge this guy. And as you can see, we got the fog wall up. So another big part of Dark Souls, if you've never played, you're gonna most of the time get to your boss, probably not always defeat him on your first try. And you're going to definitely want to sprint back sometimes rather than kill everybody on the way. And you just get to the fog and you traverse it, and the boss fight will be awaiting you. And any of the guys chasing you will be stuck on the other side of that wall. So we're going to try and use the shield a bit more here. Get a poke in on him. See, we blocked that. Took hell of a lot of our stamina, but we took no damage, right? Get our souls back so that we don't lose those. Dodge that. Get out of this way. Get a poke in here if we can. Woo! Lapped off. And if you've noticed, I'm going from using one hand on my sword to using two hands. Cool. And two hands will obviously give you more damage, but will not allow you to wield the shield, right? So you definitely want to utilize switching around depending what kind of guys you're fighting and what your situation is. Some guys it's better to just tank the damage, other guys you want to completely dodge because they will simply one-shot you. more. And he's down. So that gives you the coiled sword, which we're about to embed here in the fire up at Firelink Shrine. Gonna light this bonfire and rest at it just cause. Refill our flasks. There's only a few bad guys between here and where we're about to go, but might as well. And then that sweet door open animation of Dark Souls. Oh yeah. Grab our item here. Broken straight sword. I believe you can drop down here or somewhere near. I don't know. The drop down is to this level. Hits on him, run down, grab our item here. Homer Bone. So a Homer Bone, if you use it, will transport you back to the last bonfire that you rested at. So let's say you've been going through an area you've never been in before, you've got a ton of souls on you, you're afraid if you die you're going to have to struggle your way back to where you died in order to recover your souls. Maybe you don't want to do that, or maybe you realize you're about to enter a boss fight, because sometimes things just look so ominous you just know from looking, right? Like that's a boss fight area for sure as soon as I go through those doors. And so you can use the Homer Bone to get out, get back to the bonfire, then use the bonfire to travel here to Firelink Shrine that we're about to enter, and level up, spend your souls, make sure that you don't lose them, because nothing worse in a Souls game than losing your souls. We're just going to kill these guys for the extra souls. Get a backstab. Yeah. So that move right there, we're going to try and utilize on a lot of guys throughout this Let's Play playthrough. You can pretty much fish for backstabs, is what we call it. And you just kind of lock onto them, circle around them, let them swing their weapon, get in behind them, at which point you will get a huge attack like that. Come on, doggy. Dare ya. Not sure if there's an item here. Grab the ember. So, embers are pretty important also. In the top left you can see we've got kind of that fiery crackling symbol next to the 3 bars, and as you've noticed probably also, my health is much larger than it was, and my guy is also kind of glowing. So when you are embered, your health is much higher, but it also allows for you to be invaded by other players. So it is a boost, but it's kind of a risk-reward thing, as we were saying before, as a lot of mechanics in Dark Souls are. You can boost your health, you can ember yourself, but you do have the risk of being invaded if you're playing online, that is, by other players, which I am. So you can use the health bonus for bosses and things. It will also, if you use an ember like I just picked up, not only will it put you in an embered state, but it will fully heal you. So sometimes not a bad thing if you've run out of Estus flasks in a boss fight, or just before you enter the boss arena, maybe give yourself that extra boost, and obviously the more health you have naturally, the more it will scale up to when you use an ember. So this is Firelink Shrine, this is what it's all about right here. You can see the 5 thrones in front of me. There needs to be a Lord of Cinder returned to each one of those thrones in order to link the fire, which will restart the cycle of the universe here, and not necessarily save the world, but allow things to continue. And this is my bay, right here.
Welcome to the bonfire, unkindled one. I am a firekeeper. I tend to the flame, and tend to thee. The lords have left their thrones, and must be delivered to them. To this end, I am at thy side.
So this is where we would level up. We talk to her.
Ashen One, to be unkindled is to be a vessel for souls. Sovereignless souls will become thy strength. I will show thee how. Ashen One, bring me souls plucked from their vessels.
So yeah, you can engage in dialogue with a number of NPCs. You always want to do this. I mean, it's the way you gather some lore. It also allows you to do quests and side quests, and things being as cryptic as they are in this game, you definitely want to pay attention to what's being said when it's said to you. This is one of the primary characters, obviously. So I'm actually not going to level up. I'm going to leave, and I'm going to go talk to Hawkwood here.
May the flames guide thee.
And then we're going to light the middle fire here, which is going to basically act as the center of our hub here. We're safe in this zone, but we can travel from that bonfire to any other bonfire in the world that we've lit. And this guy is unkindled as we are.
Ah, another one roused from the sleep of death. Well, you're not alone. We unkindled are worthless. Can't even die right. Gives me conniptions. And they'd have us seek the Lords of Cinder and return them to their moulding thrones. But we're talking true legends, with the metal to link the fire. We're not fit to lick their boots.
Again, another gesture here. Collapse.
Don't you think?
And, yeah, Hawkwood's a bit of a nut, but as with a lot of guys,
sick joke.
You want to exhaust
Asking us to
dialogue.
seek the Lords of Cinder and return them to their moulding thrones. We're talking true.
So sometimes they'll say things similar to what they said before, but just a little differently. Here's Yorm's throne, the Abyss Watchers, King of Lothric, last hope of his line, Ludleth the Exiled, who is actually already here, and Aldrich. So this guy's going to be important, but we're going to let him talk
All
first.
that unkindled, and a seeker of lords. I am Ludleth of Corland. Look not in bewilderment as I say. I linked the fire long ago, becoming the Lord of Cinder. If substantiation be thy want, set thine eyes upon my charred corpse. This sad cadaver. No need to be coy. Have a closer look.
So yeah, eventually what this guy is going to do is after we defeat a boss, we're going to give him the Transposing Kiln, which is going to allow you to take the souls of the bosses that you kill and turn them into weapons or spells. Usually, I believe gives you 2 options every time you kill a boss. You can turn it into one of 2 things. And so this guy's pretty crucial. But he also himself was a lord who linked the fire ages ago.
Knowest thou of our purpose? 5 thrones will take 5 lords as kindling for the linking of the fire. The fast-fading flame must be licked to preserve this world. A reenactment of the first linking of the fire. So it is, I became a Lord of Cinder. I may be but small, but I will die a colossus.
The voice acting, excuse me, is
Do not be away over long.
magnificent as always in Dark Souls. So we're going to embed the coiled sword we got from Gundyr that we pulled out of him. And this is what's going to allow us to travel to the next area of the game. I'm going to cut the video off here because it's already gone a lot longer. I'm going to try and keep these videos probably around 20 to 30 minutes. I think this one's gone a little longer than that at this point. So, yeah. I'm going to come back and we'll be at the High Wall of Lothric, and then we'll proceed forward from there and explore a little bit around Firelink Shrine before we do. So, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.